Hi everyone, George here. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of NintenDormant. We recorded this episode a few months ago and thought we had lost the episode due to some corrupted video and audio files, but luckily we managed to piece it back together via various recordings. These recordings were all different speeds and had wildly different volumes for everyone's audio, so required quite a lot of work to fix. And as a result, you may notice a few echoes here and there during the recording. My apologies for that, but I'm really glad we could piece it back together into a state where we're happy to release it, as it's an episode about a really great game and features a NintenDormant debut too. Next week we'll be back up to the usual audio quality that you're used to, we promise, but for now, we hope you enjoy the show. Here we go. Hello everyone, welcome to NintenDormant, a podcast where we discuss Nintendo games that have been left on the shelf. I'm your host George Banks, and joining me this week, it is a NintenDormant stalwart. It's Josh Goldie. Josh, hello.
Hello George, how you doing?
I'm doing well. You have a friendly little buddy on your head.
I do, and he's a very relevant little buddy today. Because
he is. Oh no! Oh, I was going to say, don't touch him. I want to see.
You want to see how long?
I want to get it all the way to the quiz.
Oh God!
if you're just listening, Josh has Chibi Robo on his head, and we're going to see how long it's going to last there. Yeah. I don't give it till the quiz, Josh. I'm sorry.
Do not make me laugh. It's basically what I'm saying. Let's have a very boring podcast, so that
yes. Ooh, strap in. And joining Josh, we have making their NintenDormant debut from the Gamer Era podcast is Sam. Sam, hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me on. Really nice to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I put out a little post on BlueSky about other people doing gaming podcasts. Sam reached out, said he'd like to come onto the show, so here you are. Hooray!
Yeah.
How are you finding? So you started your podcast sort of, I think it was late 2024. How are you finding sort of the podcast grind?
Yeah, we started about a year ago. It was we started out weekly, and then we got about 6 or 7 episodes in, and we were like, this is quickly becoming so unsustainable because it's the same thing. It's with a lot of creative projects I find where the first thing you do, it's like, okay, you've thought about it for ages and you squeeze all that like effort into it, but then when you have to do that week on week, it became difficult, at least the way we were producing it. So then we swapped to fortnightly. Obviously, we work in the fortnight gags with that. It's very skit heavy, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying doing it every week, but it's mad, isn't it? Because it's a commitment. You do the record, you do the edit, to sort of come up with something each week. How do you pick what you come up with? Because you cover really a massive range of topics. So how you got your regular co-host David?
Yes.
Is it something you sort of bounce between the two of you? How do you decide? I can't focus on you because all I can look at is Josh and Chibi Robo. Just please, I might avert my eyes, but please, how do you decide what you're?
It's amazing balance you've got. It's like
I feel as stiff as a board though. Like I feel like I can't react at all to anything.
Steady. The poise and grace with which you are sat there. This is actually staggering. If you're just listening, please, I'll post a clip of this on BlueSky because this is unreal. Yes, how do you decide what you got? Oh no!
That's right, there we go.
The approach kind of evolved a bit over time because it was we literally first just started out just being like, look, we're going to just have a topic on. The very original concept was that it was going to be like a TED talk, but neither of us knew what the other one was going to give the presentation on. So it was just going to be kind of surprising each other with strange trivia that kind of lived in our heads. And then eventually we kind of moved to a bit of a guest format where we'd reach out to guests and be like, is there a topic you really want to talk about that you haven't heard somebody talk about on a games podcast, like ad nauseum? Like, do you have is there one particular game that you love and you never hear anyone talk about? Or is there like a particular niche you'd be interested in bringing up? So we moved to that format. And now it's sort of like part like comedy, but also part like history. We kind of like to build out like a little timeline, take you through like journeys of different developers and stuff. We tend to find a lot of our topics dovetail into other ones. Like we'll start talking about, I mean, it's even kind of happened with this pod where on our most recent episode at the time of recording, we were talking about Rayman. And then I started talking about Chibi Robo on there. Yeah. And then you put out Your Cool and I was like, ooh, I kind of fancy talking about
Want to talk about that more? I want to talk about that when
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
focus.
exactly.
Oh, I think I really like it when podcasts do that, though. So I'll put a link to the podcast, obviously, in the show description. You know, if you're a listener to this show, please do check it out. It's a lot of fun. And Josh, you know, obviously you do podcasts with Source Gaming, and you're sort of a seasoned veteran at this point. Did you? I want you to cast your mind back to your first ever one. Did you do like a 0 episode, or did you just jump straight in when you made your first podcast?
I mean, I think we have 0 episodes. So the podcast we do right now, Good Morning Source Gaming, is like the second iteration of podcasts, all the way back in 20, probably even before we started making the YouTube stuff. We did a podcast with Smashboards called the Smashcast, where they would host it and we would do the episodes. Right. And those, I wasn't in all of them. But those first ones, I'm trying to think if they had a structure around it. I think we usually themed it around a guest. Like, we'd have, like, NintenDormant or Ash Paulson or Xander Mobus or someone like that on. And we'd just talk about something that's relevant to them. I can't remember now if it was news-related or just whatever game series we want to talk about, if it was just Smash Brothers related, because I mean it was called Smashcast after all, so you'd assume so, right? Brothers, so yeah. But
yes, I mean, a peek behind the curtain, but the amount of times Josh bails me out when I'm having trouble with the podcast is unbelievable. The thing I just miss really about being sort of young and that kind of playground thing is just chatting games with friends in the playground, and that's the kind of thing I've always wanted with this one, is to sort of capture that feeling, because, you know, we're all here, we all love talking about games, and we're going to play a little game right now. Yes, it's time for the NintenDormant Quickfire quiz. 2 rounds, fastest finger first, followed by play or pass for double points, and as always, we will let our guests choose their buzzers. Now, Sam, you're new to the show, so I will give you the privilege of being first to pick the buzzer this week. What would you like your buzzer to be?
Thank you very much. There's a clip of Television from the first game where he goes, "Wingable." I can send that over to you. It's my entry on a lot of Discord servers. It tends to work out quite well.
You've just got it handy.
Yes.
Easy.
Excellent. That is you can come back on the show. Thank you very much. I also I need to use one of my backup questions as well, because Television was one of the answers. Okay, Josh. this happens all the time. I need to pick harder questions. All right, Josh.
Yes.
What are we going? Are we going Wario? Are we going different? I need to keep a running tally of how many you've picked. How
many Warriors I go for. No, this time we'll go something relevant, because Chibi Robo has a lot of sounds in it, a lot of cool little sounds. So I want the sound of Chibi Robo's footsteps when he walks.
Yeah, I love this. It's on my talking points for the episode. You know, the sound design is so good for the game.
Yes.
But do you have a particular surface that you want then? Because obviously different
good point, yeah.
Different footstep sounds.
How about we'll just do it on the wooden floor. I think that'll be the loudest buzzer option I can have there. Okay. So just on the standard wooden floor.
I am wondering how difficult it's going to be to find. It can't be that hard to find that. There's got to be
people footage. Yeah, I'm sure. Sounds Resource probably has it, or you can just find any gameplay footage of someone playing it, because they're going to be walking in it, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Lovely. All right, well, we have our buzzers, so if we're ready, fingers on buzzers, please, for round 1. Here we go. In the original Chibi Robo, you were gifted to Jenny of the Sanderson family, but what animal does Jenny like to pretend to be? Oh, it's Josh. He's in there.
Wow, that was close.
Yeah.
That was close.
She likes to pretend to be a frog.
She does, with her little froggy hat. Do you remember what she says, how she turned into a frog?
Oh, good.
There's not. You've still got the point. Don't worry about it. I'm just curious if you in the memory banks.
No, I don't remember. No.
I think she says something about she was turned into it by a frog wizard, like a frog wizard cursed her or something.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, she's got a sad story for Jenny.
Sad story in general in this game.
I know. So oh my god. So deep and so much pathos in this weird game.
Love it.
But we will get into that when we get onto it. All right, 1 point to Josh. Fingers on buzzers, please. Question 2. The DS sequel, Chibi Robo Park Patrol, sees the action move outside of the home, with gameplay including the purification of flowers. But what are the names of the enemies that can change them into a black... Sam has buzzed in already. Go for it.
Are they the Smoglings?
They're the Smoglings. Wow. You got to give it up, Josh. That's
I mean,
impressive.
I wouldn't have got that one. It's been so long since I've played Park Patrol.
Yeah, I don't think I ever finished Park Patrol. I just remember they're very weird, like sort of round...
Yeah, black things with like white faces.
Kind of,
You can,
and
you can give it a bit of cube action.
almost.
You can spray them with the water, and then they burst and spread flowers everywhere.
Yeah,
again, quite violent, quite a sad end to a little, just a creature that's wandering around.
Yeah, weirdly violent but cute, and it's such a confusing game. Do you remember? There's like a big version of a Smogling. Do you remember what they're called?
I don't actually.
It's like I think it was called a Smog Blob.
Smog Blob.
That's good.
Smog Blob. Yeah, I forgot to Google that for the quiz, but I'm pretty sure it's Smog Blob. Anyway, 1 point to Sam. That was quick. You've got to be on that buzzer, Josh, because Sam is quick.
I'm up against an expert.
Question 3. Here we go. The Japan exclusive Okiri... please forgive me for this. The Japan exclusive Okiri Chibi Robo Happy Richi Osoji... Nailed it. Also for the DS, is considered more of a true sequel to the original GameCube title. But what extra limitation on Chibi makes exploration a little more difficult?
Ooh.
Sam, this is a bit of an open-ended question, this one.
Yes. The main thing is that the length of his cord is like shortened, and there's also like the amount of energy that you can have is like tied to the household. It's not like a limitless power source.
Yes, that's the one I'm looking for.
Wow.
So, yes, Chibi Robo wanders around. In the first game, he can charge himself up. But this game, the family is in even more dire circumstances. So there's a sort of finite amount of energy. And you can get more by chucking stuff into a big bin.
Yes.
Right.
And, well, we'll get onto it when we talk about
the recycling mechanics, actually. Back in full force.
I feel really bad because as I went to say that question, I was looking at what I've written. And I was going to say, is the true sequel to the original GameCube hit? But I changed it to title because it wasn't really a hit. And I felt... It made me feel really sad. I mean, I think it's more accurate, but I felt really sad saying it. But there we go.
Yeah.
Anyway, we want more Chibi Robo. Question 4. Chibi Robo Photo Finder for the 3DS is a spin-off for the franchise, and it introduces little robot helpers for the titular character. But what are these robots called? Sam again.
Chibi Tots.
They're Chibi Tots. They are.
Yeah.
This is really funny. Yesterday I was fiddling around with Street Pass on the 3DS yesterday, and I saw there was still some puzzles I had left over. And there's a surprising... The Let's Go Photo one is about like 40 panels, and most of them are just Chibi Tots, just taking up like a square each. So...
Oh man! I think I must have that because I got most of the Street Passes, but I've not looked at it for so long.
There's some good ones.
There are some odd ones.
Yeah. Oh, Chibi Robo one there. I'll look into that because I don't remember that one at all. What's the Have you completed that one?
I haven't. No, I haven't seen what the animation is. I could I could look it up, but like,
where's the fun in that? You want to see it in person, and it's easy to get a Street Pass in 2025. Just ask Xeon. Yes, little Chibi Tots. They're very cute. It's a game I didn't play very much, I'm being honest, but I do like the little Chibi Tots. All right, it's 3 points to 1. So this is the last question of Fastest Finger First. Fingers on buzzers, please, everybody. Chibi Robo Ziplash is the last entry in the series to date, shifting gameplay to a more adventurous style. And along with the game, there was an amiibo. But what does this amiibo transform you into? It's Chibi Josh.
Is it Super Chibi Robo?
It's Super Chibi Robo. Very good.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the famous flaming one from the Nintendo Direct, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's like the power up he does.
and
then he goes gold.
Very cool. Unfortunately, not a particularly cool game. I don't know. We might have complex feelings about this.
I certainly do.
Okay.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. It's one. I really wanted to buy it because of the amiibo, but I played it on my friend. We'll get into it, and I just didn't like the game. I didn't like the game. So that is 3 points to 2. I love it when there's 5 games in a series because it makes the quiz so easy for me because I just pick one question from each game. It's
Perfect.
3 points to 2. Yeah, well, thank you, Chibi Robo. 3 points to 2 for Sam, which means, Sam, as we move into play or pass for double points, you will go first. So if you know the answer, you can get yourself 2 points. If you don't, you can pass it to Josh. If he doesn't know the answer, you get yourself 1 point. But if he does, he scoops up those 2 points himself. So careful with play or pass. Question 1. What is the name of the character missing a leg in the first game? Is it A, Giga Robo, B, Robo the Robot, or C, Chibi Maxima?
That would be Giga Robo.
It is Giga Robo. I didn't know how silly to make the names. I mean, I thought Chibi Maxima sounds vaguely like it could
Chibius
be.
Maximus. You can see it. It's cute enough.
I mean, isn't that an oxymoron as a name?
Which is
but I thought that would be
small.
But I thought that might sway it because it's such a silly name that you might think like, oh yeah, Chibi Maxima makes sense, but it could be the maximum chibi size. What would be the maximum chibi size?
Medium?
When is something
when
not
chibi? When it's normal size. When it's
this is a fascinating delve into philosophy.
Yeah. What is normal?
I
Josh?
don't know. How long is a string? Like,
well, I would say if a string is this long, it's a chibi piece of string, right? But if a string is like this long, this is not scientific. We've really strayed into no. If anybody's got a question, if anybody's got an answer for the question, when is chibi not chibi? Please let me know. Right, that gives 2 points to Sam then. So, Josh, your question. Are you ready?
Yes.
I've given myself this name to say again. In Okiri Chibi Robo Happy Richi Osoji, nailed it. You are bought by a now adult Jenny from the first game. But what is the name of her son? Is it A, Keith? Is it B, Richard? Or is it C, Mick?
I'm going to have to pass on this because this is the one Chibi Robo game I've not played. So I actually don't know the answer.
Ooh, all right. Yeah. All right. Sam, do you have an answer for
I do. I believe it's Keith.
It's Keith. Very good.
Darn.
You get yourself the 2 points. You may have noticed a little theme with the answers there. I mean, again, this is a funny one because it's a Japan exclusive game. So, I mean, technically, he's maybe not called Keith. I don't know. There's a translation for it. I mean, you're the Chibi Robo super fan, Sam. Do you know if that's been confirmed?
I wouldn't know. I would imagine it would be a name that was just in Kana, so maybe it's Kihu or something, and they just...
Oh, right.
I don't know. I can imagine... I mean, they're games that are so based in Americana that I can't particularly imagine them having Japanese names, but you never know, really.
Like, her name's Jenny in both.
If anybody just...
Like, in all regions.
That's
so
true. That's true, actually. Yeah,
I am remembering that in that DS game, it does get significantly more Japanese, though. Like, she has a deer scare in her room, and there's, like, sliding doors and stuff, so it's to go any direction, really.
I like that. Like, maybe, like, the sort of melding of cultures, though.
So looking at the katakana that his name is spelt with, it's Kisu.
Oh, Kisu.
Kisu.
Oh, that's cute as well, like a kiss.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you there for the clarity, Josh. But you didn't get any points. Sorry about that. Sam, your question. If you're ready. For anybody just listening as well, when I asked Sam that question about the names, a sort of glow came over him. I don't know what that was from.
But
it looked like a sort
lightened,
of like a sexy spotlight descended upon you. It was very funny. So you've gone back now. I'm afraid. I'm sorry. You're no longer a glowing god. But you can get yourself 2 more points if you can answer me this question. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
What is the name of the company that produces Chibi Robo and its products? Is it A, KoROBO, B, RoboSoft, or C, Citrasoft?
That would be Citrasoft.
Oh man, he's running away with it, Josh. Yes, Citrasoft.
Yeah, I would have got that one. Although when you were reading the question, I thought you were like asking about the developer, so I was like, this is an easy one. What's he doing? Is it Skip? Oh,
I'm not that bad. Come on, give me some credit, man. I do put research into these quizzes. It's just impossible to gauge them. Yes, Citrasoft, who they're the makers of Chibi Robo, aren't they? Because I know they make a bunch of stuff in the game, but they are that's right. Yeah,
I think there's I can't remember if they name him. There's like some specific professor who's like, it's like a whole Mega Man thing where he's like, oh, I made Chibi Robo with my surrogate child or whatever. You got digging around in some of the deep lore.
I know, it's mad. Yeah, it's yes, it is. I mean, we've said it a few times, but it's such a sad story. The first game, right? It is 9 points to 2, Josh. But we can bring some of this back.
Can
we can bring
we?
some of this back. We can. We can nearly half the deficit, so that's something. I mean, the question was going to be, I can give you this question if you want. It was going to be, Chibi Robo is managed by a little flying buddy in most games. What is the buddy's name? But since we've already said television, I think I'm going to give you something else. You can have the points if you want them, but let's do something else here. I'm making this up on the fly, so forgive me if it's terrible. In the original Chibi Robo game, you can don specific suits that change Chibi Robo's appearance. And there is a toy dog in the game who's particularly excited to see you don one suit. What is the name of that suit? Is it the Captain Rainbow suit? Is it the Froggy suit? Or is it the Drake Redcrest suit?
There's a dog.
There's like a little toy
Is it a toy dog or is it a dog
thing?
toy?
Like a yellow...
Like a
yellow thing. With oh, maybe it's a caterpillar.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of Tao's dog toy. Because Tao is the dog in the game. But as a dog toy,
that's it.
In which case, it was the last one, Drake Redcrest.
Oh, very good. All right, Josh always does that. He always will like, George, do you mean this or do you mean this? And I say, yes, I mean this. When he goes, well, it's obviously this. It makes me look like yes, Drake Redcrest. Well done, Josh.
I got to go my own memory.
I love the little suits. And to be fair, I did mess up the question. I made it up. I said I made it up on the fly. Come on, you got to cut me some slack. Yes, I love the little suits from the first game.
Yeah.
I can't remember them. Did they appear in later titles? I can't remember.
I don't think they do, unless you can. I think you can unlock costumes in Ziplash. Because you can get like you can get a Tingle costume, you can get a Dylan's Rolling Western costume.
Some of Amiibo.
yeah. Who doesn't want a Tingle Chibi? Oh, that didn't sound nice. That didn't sound nice at all.
No.
Who wants a Tingle Chibi Robo? I want to make that a very clear sentence, and the answer is no one. So after the quickfire, well, maybe somebody. Do you know what? I wouldn't mind a Tingle Chibi Robo. After the quiz, then that is 4 points to Josh and 9 points to Sam. Sam, you are this week's winner. Well done.
Wonderful.
And that means that you will be going first as we move into the main event. So yes, the series we are talking about this week is the Chibi Robo series. A quick history lesson for those who don't know. Chibi Robo was developed for the Nintendo GameCube by the now defunct Skip Ltd. And released in 2005 in Japan and 2006 in the West. The game sees you take on the role of Chibi Robo, whose job is to make the Sandersons' lives easier by completing household tasks. This is not easy though, with danger lurking in the form of spiders, mechanical arachnids that attack you on sight, and the overarching feeling that something is not quite right with the family. You also help out the toys that come to life at night, completing side quests to earn happy points, expand your abilities, and grant you further access to the house and its tasks. 4 sequels followed: Park Patrol for the DS, which sees largely similar gameplay but taken outside, the Japan-exclusive Okiri Chibi Robo Happy Richi Osoji, which returned to the classic formula, Chibi Robo Photo Finder for the 3DS, a 2013-2014 spin-off title that saw you making use of the 3DS's AR capabilities, snapping real-world objects for a gallery in the game, and finally, Chibi Robo Ziplash. A wild departure from the originals, this game is a side-scrolling action platformer that sees you utilising Chibi Robo's power cord in all sorts of interesting ways to progress through the levels to combat an alien invasion. The game unfortunately did not sell well, and a copy these days is hard to find. However, it was recently revealed that the original will be available via Switch 2, and members of the original development team have teamed up to release a spiritual successor, KoROBO, which will hopefully be launching this year. So guys, that was a lot to say there. Apologies for the sort of slightly rambly history lesson, but it's a series which has had 5 releases and they've sort of varied in style and what you can do with them. So, let's talk about them. Sam, what was your first experience with Chibi Robo?
So Chibi Robo was one of those games where when the GameCube was winding down, I'm sure we all kind of remember the anticipation for the Wii. or the Revolution if you go back far enough, and just sort of holding on to the scant few GameCube games that were coming out. So you had like the Mario Sports games were kind of dribbling out. There was Battalion Wars, the real-time Advance Wars spin-off. Like all these games that kind of very quickly fell into the mists of time, and Chibi Robo was one of the really late ones. I think it was 2006 in the end. So really knocking at death's door. I'd always been curious about it, but it had always been completely unattainable because I think it had a really small print run here, and it was always up like north of £100. Then in 2020, some incidents occurred, and we all found ourselves locked inside our homes. And I decided to have a look on my friend's freshly brought over Wii U, reinvigorate some life through certain means, and it running through Nintendo. And I just started from Chibi Robo, which was a fun game, a game about exploring a house in a time where we were all stuck indoors. And then I kind of moved on to each of the games after that. I very fastidiously played the DS games through the Wii U. You can like inject DS games into the virtual console, play it that way, which very strange. And I believe a lot of 3DS stuff was on clearance at that time, so you could go into, I don't know if you guys remember the Argos clear out of like 2019,
yeah, I got
2020.
a lot of 3DS games that way.
Made out like a bandit.
It was like WarioWare for like a $5, Triforce Heroes, Federation Force. I think it got codename Steam for like £1.
Triforce Heroes is just going to segue here. People fight me. I think you fought me on this, Josh, but Triforce Heroes is an unfairly maligned game, and I will.
If you've got friends, it's fine.
What are you saying about yourself? So you picked up the 3DS game from Argos. Please, I interrupt.
No worries. It was very conflicting because I remember quite literally playing it, and this, by complete coincidence, is when Scott the was doing his Dark Age of Nintendo series, and Chibi Robo Ziplash was the conclusion. So I'm sitting here watching Chibi Robo dance with his Chupa Chups. That's not a euphemism. And also seeing Scott fight a claymation creature for what he was calling one of the worst games, which it's YouTube, we've all got to say. We've all got to exaggerate slightly, but and that was my journey. It was 2020 was like that little condensed bit of Chibi Robo for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you managed to play through the whole thing. Presumably then you played through the translation of the don't make me say it again, guys. What are we calling this? The third game in this series? Chibi Robo Happy Richie. Clean Sweep. Let's call it Clean
the
Sweep.
fan title. I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, the title is just like, it's meant to sound kind of bizarre because there's a whole casino theme. It's meant to be, kind of garish. That's why it's such a mouthful. That was one of the last ones I played, I think. And I actually had to swap. This is such a kind of boring technical story, but I had to swap over midway from playing it on Wii U because for some reason there was a certain point where it just froze. I was about 80% of the way through the game, and then Sammycrow showed up at a certain point and aimed his gun at me, and then the game just froze. It was almost like a creepypasta or something.
You cannot play anymore.
Brilliant. I thought it'd be like one of those ones where they bake in, like, no, you can't play it on this.
Maybe that was an anti-piracy thing. I don't know. The Wii U DS emulator was only designed for a few games, so anything you inject in that is very touch and go.
Right.
I was able to extract the save file from that, finish it on the 3DS, and had a good time with that. Yeah, because I enjoyed it, but I wasn't playing the whole thing again for like 12 hours.
Yeah. No, fair enough. How about you, Josh? How much of the experience? How much of the series?
So I had a different way of experiencing it. I knew what Chibi Robo was, but the end of the GameCube's life cycle was like a sort of blind spot for me. I think it's because I was around that time like on Xbox 360, and so I moved over to there. So other than Twilight Princess, a lot of the late stage GameCube games, like the first Battalion Wars, Chibi Robo, Star Fox Assault, I just didn't pick up at all.
Underrated.
So I think the first Chibi Robo game I played was Ziplash, I'm pretty sure, in 2015. Well, it's because Park Patrol and the third one never came out over here in the UK. So
and Let's Go Photo was a
and I didn't hear very good things about it, and it's not very good.
Quite expensive as well. It was about, I think it was £13 or something.
For an AR experiment.
That's too much.
Too much for what it is.
to hunt around your house and go, oh, a kettle.
Taking a picture of a
Hey.
Nobody wants this.
So
Ziplash.
So I started with
was your entry
Ziplash,
point.
and it's not a very good game. But I was still interested in the
it's not.
series, and I wanted to try out what an actual game was like. But the first Chibi Robo is ludicrously expensive. So So I ended up importing Chibi Robo Park Patrol for like £12 from Amazon America, and then played that
right.
very shortly after Ziplash, and that was a lot. That was way more fun.
Right.
That was a more enjoyable game.
Yeah.
But then I didn't play any other Chibi Robo games until last year, actually. So last year, actually, on the
right.
Nintendo Chronicler channel, I streamed my playthrough of the entire Chibi Robo first game for the first time. Because
Right.
when I was living in
I
Japan,
like
I did buy Chibi Robo on the GameCube. So I have a GameCube copy of the game. And I also now have a DS copy of the third
nice.
game as well, which I got last year when I was also in Japan.
Right.
So I decided to put the GameCube game into my modded Wii and then just download a translation patch and do it that way to work around it in order to play it in English.
Nice.
That's the game. Just let me understand it, please.
Yeah.
Take that, scalpers.
I tried to do that once with a Japanese copy of Wario World, but because we didn't have the script installed, it was just like I would just walk up to a character and they would just start speaking to me in punctuation and boxes. So it was like, this is absolutely the original experience.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely,
more challenging.
definitely.
Surely. I mean, if you want to up the gameplay challenge, it's like master mode for Wario. So you kind of came to it backwards, Josh, and I think it's very much. I think the thing that's interesting about that is that it feels like as the series progressed, because I haven't played that much of it, to be honest. I played the first game on GameCube. I was quite lucky to do that, and I played a bit of an imported copy of Park Patrol. And then I didn't play the other ones. I've not played the translation, or I wasn't interested in the Photo Finder one. Shame now, and you can't really get it now. But and then Ziplash, I played a bit. I was going to buy it, but I played a bit of my friend's copy, and I just thought, this isn't the game I want, And it's sad because it feels like the series kind of lost its identity as it went on. And I think something like Ziplash, and I mentioned in the description though, it talks about aliens, that you're fighting an alien invasion, which sounds weird, but actually,
in the original game,
present in a lot of the games. This is the thing, and it's somehow like weird, but not quite weird enough. And I think if it had been almost like a Metroidvania, it maybe would have worked in a house, and you are using your zip line to kind of grapple along and pull things in. I think that would have been great, but just as an action platformer, I just thought it's not really. It's not doing what I want it to do. And the thing we've kind of touched on is that the game, even with its cutesy aesthetic and sort of, mundane tasks, it makes the mundane tasks enjoyable. There's really deep stories going on in the games. The two that are in the house, you're focused on a family who are in dire financial straits. There's sort of the threat of divorce. The children in the house are very unhappy because of what's happening with their family, and you unravel these kind of stories. And I think conceptually, it's so well executed. You've got this beautifully designed game that tells this really amazing story that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on unless you're kind of old enough to pick up on it. What sort of if you came to it a bit later than Josh, what kind of stuck with you about those?
So
those
I
story
came
elements?
to Chibi Robo after playing some of the other Love Delic games, because that's the genre that this falls under, Love Delic. And I really enjoyed Moon. I played that before I played Chibi Robo, and Moon has a very similar style and vibe to it. Captain Rainbow as well, but less so than Chibi Robo. That one's a bit more fantastical. And it's just the sort of I went into it expecting, I knew that the story was about divorce and all that, so I sort of knew going into this that it was going to be a grounded story told through a really weird way. But I think they do it really well. Like the way that the
really
atmosphere is presented in the first game as the story progresses is proper solid, especially when they like get into a fight and she locks herself in her room and he's forced to sleep downstairs every night.
Yeah, they
really
almost
tense.
play it for comedy at first because it's like Chibi Robo gets presented as a present at the birthday party, and you know the nag wife or whatever is like, oh, you know, why did you buy that? Why did you spend all the money on that? And then it kind of unravels from that trope to be like, no, this is like, these are adults with quite serious communication problems and a child that's kind of like repressed. You know, if you put on your therapist glasses and really look at it from the top down, it's a very, I mean, it's human, I think. I don't know how to describe it really.
No, I think that's kind of hitting the nail on the head, you know. And I think there's so many examples of things that are kind of wrapped up because it's a cute game, right? And if you're a child playing it, none of this will register. I always think of the Rugrats when I was a kid, and I you know, I'm sure a lot of people listening know the Rugrats cartoon. If you watch that now, there's so much going on that when you watch it as a child, is just completely not there for you. You're just watching the babies having a great time. And I think Chibi Robo does that really well. It is about human interaction, and you're kind of this selfless creature who's helping these people kind of muddy their way into a place where they can communicate with each other. And, you know, there's the pathos of the fact that the dad works for the company that made the Chibi Robo and was kind of betrayed by the person who ran the company, which is why he's sort of connected to it and why he's kind of burying himself in toys and like childhood stuff. There's so much going on, but then there's also aliens that take you back in time to repair a robot in the basement. Like it's just it's so bonkers.
When the time travel happened, that was a real. It was like they were obviously building towards it, and there's always there's the like suitcase under the bed that you don't know the combination for. You're like, that's going to build in somewhere. So when the time travel actually happened, like my friend kept saying, oh, you know, they're going to time travel, and I'm like,
no, that seems a bit weird. That's weird.
And then when it goes that far, you're walking around like a sepia tone area, seeing like the young couple. It's like this is bizarre, but it's great. It's such a big swing.
But it's great because they've earned it, right? Because you've built up all this tension with the couple that actually to see that is such a wonderful moment in the game. And you think, oh my god, you know, they were like this, then we were here, and this was their life, and it's almost like it takes you on that journey without telling you. It doesn't need to tell you all that story because it gives you that just in that moment alone. Oh, it's really great. It's really well executed. I don't know if you find this, Josh. I don't know if any of the sequels kind of reach that
no,
same height.
They don't. Obviously, I've not played the third one, so I don't fully know the story behind it. But none of the others hit that point. It's kind of it's sad. It's just kind of a case of what happened with Skip as it went on, because like the guy who directed Chibi Robo and did all of that, basically left Skip after Chibi Robo came out. Like he did Captain Rainbow, I'm pretty sure, and then he left to do his own thing. And the guy who took over for Chibi Robo and did Park Patrol left after did the two DS ones actually, and then left after that. And so by the time we got to Photo Finder, there was basically none of the original Chibi Robo people were even left at Skip, which is part of why those last two games are just so different and just don't hit the same feel, because they're just they've got the character of Chibi Robo and the idea of Chibi Robo, but don't have, I guess, the same understanding of what the vibes of Chibi Robo are about.
Well, and that's it. You know, we just said like it loses its identity, right? And it shows you how important actually the director of a game is. It's the person who sort of has the soul of the game, you know, in their hands. But then, have you guys seen much about? And we won't talk about it very long because it isn't Chibi Robo. But have you seen the trailer for KoROBO, the new game that's sort of scheduled, I think, for this year?
I've interviewed them. Yeah, did you? The interview's not live yet because I've just got a million interviews, and this one's quite long. But I was there in Japan when it was announced. I got the email being like, "Don't tell anyone, but in a couple of weeks we'll be announcing this," and got the trailer and stuff. And I got to speak to the three of them.
Josh, your life, man.
Yeah.
The amount of things are just like, I was just chatting to these developers in Japan and then jetted back. Oh my god. So did you get to see, I don't know how much you can say and how much you can't say, but did you get to see sort of more than what we've seen?
Everything that I got to see was stuff that was in the Kickstarter that they were going to announce. And then I got to ask them questions about, obviously, Chibi Robo came up because it's obviously very Chibi Robo-esque.
Did you get the sense that it wants to kind of diverge from the series, or does it feel like
it's very obviously a spiritual successor. When I spoke to them, the three of them denied it being. They were like, I don't think of this as another Chibi Robo. Don't think of this as anything to do with Chibi Robo. But like, it is. It is. It's very
KoROBO.
So I think they're just being a bit facetious a little there with the way that they want people to think about it. But like it's very much trying to capture that same sort of vibe that Chibi Robo is going for. It even has, I'm pretty sure it still has the toys coming to life idea behind it. Like, I think we've seen at least one toy. I think they're just going to do stuff slightly different from a structural sense to the game. Like, I know you don't have to plug in anymore to charge up. You have a different way. Yeah, you're solar powered now.
Solar powered, right?
And you've got easier ways to get around the environment. That's interesting. I'm pretty sure. So I think, like, even though it probably will play a lot like Chibi Robo, structure-wise for the game, it will probably feel different. But obviously, not played it.
Yeah, because for me, part of the appeal of the game is that it's quite difficult to get around sometimes because you're a tiny little robot. So I saw in the trailer a bit of him, hovering, and it looked like it was quite a large hover. And I thought, I like that, but I quite like that it's difficult for Chibi Robo to kind of achieve what he needs to achieve. We won't talk about it much more because it is a different. Maybe we'll get together when the game comes out and we can have a little chin wag about it. But let's talk then about the vibe then. So, and I thank Sam, you're the most qualified to talk about this. We mentioned about the toys coming to life, and what about those games? Because, and we mentioned in the quiz, there's a fantastic piece of musical design. When you take little footsteps, it changes depending on the surface that you're on, with each step, but it also plays like a tune. When you're scrubbing the floor, like it's kind of like Spanish guitar. It's a sort of mad design. What is it about the game that kind of captured you when you played it? Apart from the story and that kind of things, what sticks in your mind from your time with it?
I do genuinely think it's the routine of the thing, because it also, like, it has like a day-night cycle, but it's a very sort of it's one of the things it has in common with Pikmin, outside of the like smaller scale, right? You are kind of restricted by what you can do in the day, and I kind of enjoyed trying to plan things as efficiently as possible, like in Pikmin, like in Majora's Mask, where you need to like, okay, no, do I have time to go visit like the sergeant now and like get the drill training from him, or should I go and like talk to Jenny before she goes to bed, and like sort of balancing that to get the most. That's what like makes it most fun on a repeat playthrough, definitely. But like that feeling of experimentation and seeing what changes between day and night, that was something I really enjoyed. Like the structure's a little unconventional. It's not like you have like quest markers or anything. You just kind of wander around, and
I don't want to call the game like say it has like a cozy vibe or anything. You're in a house and stuff, and there's like there's like good, I think the environments are all pretty great. It's just the vibe. You can sort of walk around and do what you want, but then you've still got the timer. You're still trying to get from place to place. Occasionally you'll just be bombarded with enemies at complete random.
The whether it's the robots or, I mean, some of the toys are like weirdly hostile as well. Like when you first get into the basement and Plankbeard's talking to you, and really having a go at poor old Television. Like there's a real feeling of like earning their trust and their respect, because they got burned by this prior trauma. Again, it's so strange that Chibi Robo is a game about trauma.
At the same time, even though I wouldn't call it a cozy game, it's not like a scary game either, or a super intense game. Like, the player is sort of left to their own devices to just explore and run around. And you see like the mum in the kitchen and the dad watching TV. Jenny will be playing in her room or in the living room, and you're just walking around as this family does their own thing, and you're just cleaning up and talking to toys. It jumps around so much, from just being super bizarre to being a bit more action-packed to being kind of chill. Like, one of the things I really enjoyed doing, and I did it every day in Chibi Robo, was just going down to the bottom of the stairs and like sitting on that little door stopper. And then as you sit there and wait, Telly just comes down and it has a little bit of a skip, might begin to start singing and then get interrupted.
Yes, Teriyaki Blues. You sort of unlock that over various days. I think they do the classic, the Japanese comedy thing of the like pan falling on his head.
But and this is it, you know. I think the game is packed with moments like that, isn't it? That kind of, there's so many you sort of, and everybody will have ones that are special to them. And you know, we've barely even touched on. We mentioned there just television. You know, who's the kind of flying little computer companion who kind of helps you out, and some of the toys, but there's just so many of them that we, you know, I don't think we could even begin to touch on them because it would take up a whole sort of another 45 minutes of the podcast really. But yes, you know, I think it's a game that is packed with personality, and I do love that you can kind of the stress that it gives is kind of sort of gentle stress, right? And you can kind of skirt around it if you want to. It's, you know, it's kind of, it's there to engage with how you want to. So I mean, I suppose the question is, you know, is that the kind of thing we want to see return in a possible new entry? And luckily Sam won the quiz, which means Sam, you did, which means you're the new president of Nintendo. Congratulations. But we are the board, and we demand that you bring back Chibi Robo and that you make it a great big success. So please tell us, how do you plan to do that?
Okay, so very much in keeping with the first game and the third game, we're building on the idea of being in a house. You know, when Chibi Robo did gardening, it was fine. When he did abstract platforming in weird blocky levels, it was okay. But in the house is where he belongs. And what I think we could do to really expand how Chibi Robo is really focus in on the climbing aspect. Because in the third game, they have this mechanic, and it kind of carries over to Ziplash as well, where you can like lasso your plug about and throw it and then climb up on it. So my thought was, and maybe this is where we hit scope bloat territory, but instead of just one house, we have sort of a block of flats or an apartment complex. A little bit like, you know, Luigi's Mansion 2 or 3, where you have a lot of different themed mansions, and it's like, you have a main objective to fulfill in one of them, and then when you fulfill that, you can move to the next one, or you can kind of free roam in the previous flat and find tokens and little hidden bits and pieces. Yeah, a big focus on climbing and verticality. One of the things I thought was kind of a missed opportunity that they didn't do in the 3DS games was he has that very like sort of old school style American like plug. Or I suppose it could be a Japanese plug as well, that the two prongs. Yeah. And I thought it would be fun and they'd have to be cute about it and not like go into any copyright territory, if it was a USB stick. So it's like he can connect himself, he can possess devices essentially, he can connect himself to laptops, he can plug into Wi-Fi routers and travel around the house through the internet wires, or, you know, just crazy stuff. But I feel like I'm sure someone must be sitting on that at this point, just looking at how universal USB is and thinking about how a robot character could interface with all these devices in different ways.
Nice. Yeah, okay.
So quite a lot of ideas there. Obviously, a lot of them are big swings.
But be ambitious.
No, we like ambition here because these games are never going to exist. So a return to kind of the original kind of steps of the series, but you know, utilizing the sort of skills from Ziplash. You know, the exploration aspect, like the sort of verticality to kind of increase the scope of the game, I guess. Is there any link back to the original game, or is this, you know, how do you find yourself in the block of flats? What's the story going to be for it?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think the book's kind of closed on Jenny's story, because that kind of continues into the third game. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it's quite like conclusive.
I think we can say that Jenny's, you know, the Sanderson family returns. It's a future. It is a sequel. It's a future game. Jenny's there.
Yeah. If she was to return, it would be in a sort of diminished quantity, and it would be more sort of about new characters. I think they'd still want to be cute with their cameos. You could have like, I don't know, the museum curator from Photo Finder is showing up and doing that
love character. Yeah.
Yeah.
I recognise him from something somewhere.
person in the flat could be a different family or a different person. So in that sense, you could have loads of different types of
Exactly.
people.
Yeah.
Thinking like the different floors in Luigi's Mansion 3, how they're almost, you know, they're hotel suites, but really it's just like, you know, this is pirate world. This is But if you can make that theme domestically, almost like the mad houses they had in Tomodachi Life, you know, you could get one that was literally the bottom of the ocean, or one that was like a mad scientist's lair or whatever. Like, I think a good mix of domesticity and weird fantasy would be fun.
That's perfect. Is it very in keeping with the series? Speaking of returning then, so, you know, are we having toys coming back to life? We didn't really touch on, like, power-ups, you know, there's Chibi Robo, there's the, like, the blaster thing, there's some, like, vehicular stuff.
What kind of stuff like half a second.
It's so good. How do you sort of see the gameplay? Do you want to sort of limit him, so it's more about him and his abilities, or do you want to kind of expand on that?
I think they hit onto something, because in a lot of the games it's about gaining moolah and happy points and using that to upgrade yourself over the course of the game. Again, in that third game, it's about like upgrading the length of the wire, and that affects how far you can climb. So I'd like to continue that, but just on a much larger scale. And yeah, again, I think just there's a lot of stuff they had right in those two games, and I think it would take a surprisingly small amount of like lateral expansion for it to feel interesting again.
Yeah, a return to the classic formula. Josh, any questions for Sam?
Yeah, so obviously in the modern day, nowadays, the big buzzword, the big theme of this generation is open world. If we're going to have a flat with a bunch of different apartments and stuff, and verticality, I mean, when you said verticality, the first thing I thought was Chibi of the Wild. Are we going to make this an open world game? Are we going to be able to no loading screens?
I did toy with the idea of kind of for fun, you know, kind of like how Grounded takes place in the backyard, but you're fighting off bugs and stuff. What if it was like instead of the apartment idea, it was a house and you could explore the back garden? But I think that domesticity is where you've got to keep it. I think if Chibi Robo's going too far out into the mountains and stuff,
where can he charge up?
Gonna just get lost.
It feels like he belongs there, right? Like Park Patrol, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, it didn't feel right. He's in a domestic appliance. I mean, that's kind of what he is.
Yeah, the better parts of that game for sure were, you know, the gardening was interesting, but going into the town and interacting with the different toys and stuff there was where it felt a little closer to the other games.
We've already talked about power-ups. Obviously, Chibi Robo is going to need to charge himself up from the various different charge stations. I like the idea of having it be a USB and charging with other things. That was a pretty neat idea. But are we going to consider, if there's a lot of exploring to do, the player might find themselves far away from anywhere to charge? Is that just going to be part of the stress? Is that going to be something that the player's just going to have to be wary of? Or are we going to have some way for Chibi Robo to maybe charge up without the plug? Maybe it's a power-up or something.
Yeah, perhaps it can be in the great Nintendo style of having the adaptive difficulties. You can have maybe the easy mode where you're trundling about like a portable battery, and it's like just on a little like wheelbarrow that you're pulling behind you. Nice. Or maybe there is like Chibi Robo hard mode, permadeath. Like you let that battery go flat, you are gone. Like file deleted. I don't know. I think the energy conservation part of it is very interesting, because they're very they're games about the environment and environmentalism, and you know, the whole drama that happens before Chibi Robo shows up in the first game is the energy crisis. That's kind of where the second one makes more sense if you follow that logic. Yeah, I don't know. I would like them to encourage renewable energy. I think the solar panel idea in KoROBO was cool. Maybe it could be wind power or something. Just blowing. I mean,
continuing on from that idea, are we bringing back from the third game the limited energy of the whole building?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that was definitely one of the most fun parts of that game, because I mean, poor Jenny, her house was filthy, and picking up that rubbish and converting it into something that you could use for your own gain was just great. It was very cathartic.
Yeah, Yeah, but I've watched playthroughs of that, and it's like, again, it's that kind of good stress, right? Of, oh god,
Yeah.
It's like the juice in Pikmin 3, right? You like, there's plenty of it, and you can get it, but actually, it can get to a point when you think, oh god, I need to go and get something, otherwise, that's it, I'm done. Okay, that's great. So, are we sort of? Are we gonna? Because this feels more sort of slightly grounded in I mean, reality. As much as this game is in reality. Are we going to see aliens? Are we going to see talking toys? How much are we kind of leaning into that aspect of it?
I don't know. Part of me almost thinks maybe with it being set in different flats, it's more episodic, and maybe a little like something like Ace Attorney or the last Layton game they did, Catriel. Like, it's like they're mostly disconnected, but then there's maybe something going on in the background. Maybe Citrussoft are trying to make some kind of comeback, and there's maybe some kind of robot they're making that rivals Chibi Robo. It's not as cute, but it's more efficient. Something like that, maybe.
Nice. All right. Any final questions from you, Josh?
Yes. So, every single Chibi Robo game has changed up what Telly is. He's gone from an LCD to an old school computer to a phone. Like, how is Telly going to look in this one?
I think Telly's just going to be an orb. He's just going to be a floating, one of those. You ever played that big version of 20 Questions where it has the hologram screen? He's going to be one of those guys, like a Daft Punk floating helmet. Going to be very strange because so much of the game is going to be about being cutesy, but Telly is going to seem quite oppressive on the surface, but really have a heart of gold underneath.
Oh,
yeah, good old Telly. All right, well then, the last question for me then is just who is developing this game for you, as Skip Ltd no longer are?
Oh, that is a good question. Well, I would ask the panel actually. What would you like to see? What developers would you like to see be involved in this title?
Well, I'm not giving you my one.
Yes.
Fair enough. Classic deflection.
yeah. I don't know, Josh. All right, Josh. Did you have a second choice for your pitch for developer?
No. To be honest, I struggled to have a first choice for my pitch for developer. So, do you want a second pitch? I'm going to say Nintendo Software Technologies.
Yes.
Why?
How fitting to be doing a robot game.
Yeah.
After being in the Mario versus Donkey Kong zone for so long.
Exactly.
I didn't pick them for mine because I go to them all the time. I go to the well all the time. But I think next level games just make they're one of my favorite developers. I think they would handle brilliant animations, and they can make really rich, detailed worlds. You see that in Luigi's Mansion. The worlds that they create are just incredibly vibrant. So they're not who I picked. They're nearly who I picked. But if you want to take next level games, you can take next level games. You can have them. You're the president.
I think I would. There's only one other studio that comes to mind, but it's more to do with that open world pitch. It's like, I think if you constrained certain developers to just doing the inside of a house but doing it in great detail, they might
grand scale.
Yeah. I think,
come on, you got to give us a name.
Okay, Monolith Soft. Let's go. They've been big linchpins for Nintendo for a while. They've supported a lot of their open world games. Maybe they want to hang up the blade for a bit and just play with a little guy.
Take out the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put down the blade, pick up the vacuum. It's time to tidy. Amazing. All right. Well, that is a very strong, lovely opening pitch. It's a return to form with a few sort of twists on the franchise. Very nice. But now, Josh, you are the president of Nintendo, but we are still the board, and we still demand that you bring back Chibi Robo and make it a success. So please, would you tell us, how do you plan to do it?
So, I think that the previous president was pretty much right on the money. So, to make myself stand out and be unique in my tenure as president, I'm going to go completely different. And
right, okay.
That's the Nintendo way.
Off the cuff.
Flick off.
This is true. This is a fact.
So, Chibi Robo Ziplash, we all know, not a very good game. But
no.
I do think that the idea behind it, that they could make a bit more of an action-adventure-y focused Chibi Robo, something that's a bit more action-y, wasn't too bad of an idea. They just didn't make a good game from it. But the core concept was fine. So, I want to do this again. I'm going to make another action-focused Chibi Robo and just make it a good game this time. But we're going to do a different genre. There's too many platformers. I don't know what they were thinking. We have Mario, Donkey Kong, Kirby. It's too many platformers.
Yeah.
But something that we don't have much of at the moment is third-person shooter games. Ooh. And given the Ziblash set up the idea of aliens coming down, taking all the Earth's natural resources, given the fact that Chibi Robo, ever since the first game, has had a blaster that he can use, they've given him vehicles to ride and stuff, we're going to make Chibi Robo Wars for this one.
Excellent.
So this is going to be a third-person shooter style game where you have to defend various locations from evil aliens who are coming down to take all of the natural resources, like the electricity, or the flowers, or the water, or I don't know, anything that fossil fuels. We can take anything away. Take the internet away. Like
raw resources.
Yes. So you have
you can have AI. Take AI. Get rid of that. That's fine.
So you can have you have a hub. I believe there's always the Chibi head, the Chibi house, and it's changed in like every game. Sometimes it's massive, sometimes it's small. We're gonna have a big one of them. It's gonna be the hub where Chibi works from.
All right.
Telly is the man in the chair. Is gonna be this telly is actually gonna be big. We're gonna have a big telly who's inside the Chibi house and directs you. And rather than there being like a big open world to explore, it's going to be various contained levels, kind of like a third-person, shooter style map, like something you might see in Star Wars Battlefront. But all these levels are going to be based on like the house. There'll be like a house level where you can go in the garden or inside the house, and you've got to defend the electricity bolts from incoming aliens. There's going to be like a big park where you have to defend aliens coming down, defend all the flower bed and stuff like that. We can expand this out, extrapolate this into various different themes that are all proper, like just regular town type environments, but from this perspective of Chibi Robo. So the aliens come down. There are waves of aliens. You have to fight them off. You can set up you get obviously different types of weapons. The Chibi blaster. There's a lot of different types of Chibi blaster you can get. You can unlock the Chibi Tots, and you can send them, and they can be like CPU allies that you can.
I thought you could say send them in like sort of suicide bombs.
Yeah.
I mean, don't do that to the Tots.
You could do that if you want. You can
don't do this to the Tots.
They are your grunts, and you can introduce new different types of Chibis of different sizes. Giga Robo can come in as if you build up enough energy to charge Giga Robo. Then he can enter into the field and decimate everything. And you can unlock more stuff. Obviously, I think the army men from the first and third game. The second game even. They should come in. They should obviously be part of this. And you can...
calling in toys as backup.
Yeah, you can call in toys as backup. And you have to do sort of missions for them in the thing between different waves of enemies. You'll have a chance to rest and walk around an area. And there'll be different side missions where you can unlock various different toys. And then they've all got special effects that you can bring into your next battle. So when you're in the Chibi house, you can pick which recruits or which allies you want to come in to help you. Different environments will have different terrain that you might require.
Right.
And you just come up with different ways. It's kind of like, I guess you could say it's kind of like a tower defense game in third person. In my mind, I'm thinking something a bit more like Battalion Wars or Star Wars Battlefront, but you can have different types of objectives. Some where you defend, some where you attack, depending on the level. And you just try and defend the Earth from evil aliens that are coming down.
All right.
There are vehicles as well.
I feel like you've made Small Soldiers the movie, but I'm into it. I dig it.
I mean, if the original Chibi Robo's Toy Story, then...
Yeah.
This is true. The action-packed kind of alternative. Do you not feel, Mr. President, that by taking it in such a radical different direction we talked about losing the soul of the original games. Do you not feel that those people that, the sort of cult status that Chibi Robo has built up, the following that's built up, they might feel disappointed with this title?
I don't think so, because it's not the gameplay isn't necessarily the sole thing that will that determines the vibes of Chibi Robo. It's everything else around it. Part of the fun of Chibi Robo is speaking with all of the toys. It's having all of the weird sound effects. It's the music and the atmosphere. And like Ziplash's problem is it didn't really have any of that because it was just going for a straightforward platformer game. It doesn't really have any NPCs that you talk to, no side stuff. Yeah,
isn't it?
And that's the bigger issue. Like I said, I don't think the action is necessarily the problem with that game. It's just the execution of it all just was so far different from the original Chibi Robo. I'm saying like the fact that it's a third-person shooter, like the way it will look, it won't be too dissimilar to the mainline Chibi Robo games. I think that will go a long way. And having the different environments to be like the house and stuff like that will also help. As long as we then have a good story, we have good side missions and likable characters, and we keep the sort of sound design that the original Chibi Robo games are known for. I think
that's quite nice. Like a juxtaposition, right, of like big combat, but with a sort of
like and we as long as we give some downtime in between levels. Perhaps once you've done a mission, you have the option to just explore
you have
that.
To hoover up.
Clean up. I mean that would fit with the the themes of Chibi Robo.
Really it's closer to Pikmin as well, strangely.
Yeah.
Sam, what questions do you have for Josh for this pitch?
What kind of tone do you have for the story of the game? Is it quite like apocalyptic? Are we fighting back as the last bastion of the resistance, or is it quite whimsical? I think the vein of something like Advance Wars.
I think we're going for something quite whimsical. See, because everything is such like micro scale.
Yes.
I think that the aliens are invading, but like most of humanity doesn't even know.
Yeah,
because they're super
it's just
tiny
happening
still.
in like a sandbox.
Right. So like Chibi Robo knows, maybe the Telly knows, maybe we'll have an off-screen professor, the guy who made Chibi Robo, is the one who notices and sends Chibi Robo. I don't remember who it is in Ziplash who sends Chibi Robo off to save him. Maybe we repurpose that. But like the way I imagine it is it's just like regular 2025 Americana. It's like no, everything is still fine. It's not apocalypse, it's just everyday stuff. There's just like the juxtaposition between nice, beautiful outdoor park and alien invasion happening amongst the grass and the flowers and stuff like that. Like imagine insects at war.
I actually quite like that. Is that so? You know, and are you going to catch any flack from not doing your tidying chores?
No, I think you can get like you said after the battle and how it's gonna look. If you leave it in a state like that, then you're just going to damage the environment. Things are going to look bad. Maybe there's an element of the story where we don't want humanity to notice. So we need to clean up after ourselves before people arrive and see splodges of black ink all over the place. So there's an element of like you can do more. Maybe there's a tactical element of it, like can you defeat the enemies efficiently so that you have less cleaning to do after the fact. Like maybe once you've beaten a level, you have a certain amount of time to run around because Chibi Robo is still going to need to charge up. And this will upgrade. The Chibi house will be around. You'll be able to take portable batteries, maybe even plant them in places around the battlefield ahead of time before the next wave comes in. So you have to run back to charge up.
You're in a real like big old battler stint at the moment, Josh. You pitched Arms, but Overwatch last week. But I really like this. I like the idea of sort of tackling it as you see fit, kind of keeping that kind of chibi Robo, like place it here, don't make a mess, but save the earth.
Yeah,
I think that's quite cool.
I know what the audiences want to see. Okay, I know what's going to be popular in the mainstream.
Well,
that's it.
Okay, and then are we seeing? Oh, you've mentioned returning characters. Are there any sort of humans that are going to play a part of this, or is it really they are just kind of out of the way, and the focus really is on the toys in the world?
They are out of the way. Like there might be the professor talking over, but you never actually see him. It's always through telly he communicates, and I think any other human you see is probably just faceless, like a faceless human who you don't want to disturb their daily life. You don't want them to get involved. Chibi Robo has failed if humanity notices there's even a slight problem happening. So,
right. Okay.
Don't want any humans.
Sam, any more questions for Josh?
No, I think that's everything.
It's another solid pitch. Can you tell me who's developing this for you, Josh? Because it's a big departure.
It is. I'm going with Bandai Namco. They can do no wrong, and they made Star Fox Assault. So I mean, that's like one step towards.
Yeah, it's part of the way there.
Yeah.
All right, lovely. Well, we are low on time, so I'm going to throw in one last little pitch for this week. I'm going to mention 2 mini pitches that I thought of. The first was, do you remember? Did you ever play Machinarium? The adventure with the robot. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought so. That's developed by I'll look it up. Amanita Design. You basically play as a robot, and you kind of walk around this kind of apocalyptic, junky world, and you have to point and click to find things and to like move on. I suppose it's kind of like a point and click Metroidvania, kind of.
Yeah.
And you know, because Chibi Robo started off as a point and click adventure, I thought it might be fun to take it into that. But then I thought it kind of lacks the sort of spark of the exploration. I think the joy of wandering around and getting lost, because in that game it can be quite frustrating when you come up against a roadblock and you can't quite figure it out. And then I thought about something a bit like Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, where you've got like little dioramas and you kind of have to figure out what the task is, and they get sort of increasingly complex. So almost like you're sort of, maybe television kind of drops you into an area of the house and you have to figure out what needs fixing in there. And so it makes the insides of the dishwasher a little level that you have to kind of scurry around and fix
and then come back out.
I thought that'd be fun, but ultimately for me, like you, Sam, I think I just wanted to return to the kind of classic gameplay. So mine is really like a really story-driven thing. So I want it to be, I think, you know, NintenDO.We, they're just the kings of the little world with Pikmin 4. They are. So I want them to finish making Pikmin 5, and then they can make me a Chibi Robo game. And for me, the story is, I want to keep it about the Sanderson family. I think they're an important part of the games. I know it kind of wraps up in the third game, but this is a game about grief and loss. And Keith has lost his mum, and he gets left his grandfather's old house, which the mum never took him to. So you're driving along there, and as you get there, like a bolt of lightning strikes the house, and it goes to the attic, and it kind of zaps Chibi Robo and Television awake. And it teaches you sort of, you know, the sort of basics of the game. And it turns out Keith, you know, his partner is irritated that he wants to do up this house. They don't think he's capable of doing it. Mm-hmm. So Chibi Robo basically sets out to repair the house for Keith and repair their relationship. So you're going around doing that. I want it to be kind of like a Metroidvania as well.
I mean, if this was going to come up at some point.
Well, I do, because I think I want it to be kind of vaguely open, but there's bits that are locked off that you want to get to.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got those abilities from Ziplash, so you can like grapple things, you can charge things. I want the enemies to return, so you know, like the spiders are back. But basically, you unlock areas of the house, and you know, maybe there's kids. So once you've sort of repaired a kid's bedroom enough, that kid can move into the house. And once they're in the house, that unlocks, you know, their toys are there, and that unlocks other things in the house. So you can kind of, that again, sort of replayability, right? You can unfold and build the house back up as you see fit. And maybe if you do it in a different order, you get different cutscenes and you witness different things, those different details that you get in the game. And the sort of thing for me that's going to set it apart, kind of like the USB thing, is that because time has gone on, there's been, you know, more Citrusoft, there's been more Chibi inventions, but a lot of them are broken down. There's things in the house that he can basically plug into. So I pictured like a Roomba, but he climbs into it, and then you know maybe you go into mouse mode and you have to like push forward to steer the Roomba, and then like move like this to kind of, so like a really like set pieces and sort of ways to mix up the gameplay to kind of, you know, break up the kind of just scurrying around and figuring things out. I really like the energy depleting, so I want that to come back. You know, you've got to sort of fill up enough to keep the house going, make sure it doesn't sort of fall into disrepair. And basically, that's kind of it, really. You know, you and you get to the point where you can give energy back to the grid. That's the kind of, you want the house to give something back, and you've reunited the family, the house is doing good for the environment, and then aliens come. Bear with me. Aliens come
aliens.
back, and they've gone to the future, and they've seen that the grandchild of the sort of Citrusoft baddie from the first game wants to steal your inventions from you, and and they've released spiders into the house. So you're kind of you have to battle back the spiders. So this is like post game. Then there's a giant one again. EPD do great giant bugs. We know this from Pikmin, but because it's Citrussoft designed, Chibi can plug into it. So to defeat it, you basically have to take control of it, and from that, the aliens like warp you to the headquarters, and you break the guy's computer. Citrussoft goes bankrupt, and Keith starts a new company, which basically is all about providing clean energy for the world. And that's my pitch: a 3D sort of Pikmin style Metroidvania with a return to the classic gameplay, but like set pieces and vehicles, and a bit more, and leaning back into the weird thing, but keeping the kind of the family style, not the family style, the family orientated gameplay of Chibi just trying to improve people's lives. That's it. I will. We are super low on time. I will accept one question from each board member. Does anybody have a question for me?
I like the house flipping aspect of the game. I think that's kind of cute. But
house flipping. Yeah, it's not like one of those doing up programs. Chibi Robo is sat with like his arms folded with his back to television, being like, "Hey, I know how to do building jobs." Yes, yeah, okay, yeah. Do you know? Oh, it's called Chibi Robo 2.0 as well because it's a stupid name. Okay. But yes, go on. You enjoy the house flipping?
Yeah, so I like the setup for that. I just wonder, so are we also bringing then stuff like the toys back to it? I'm sort of curious because obviously, clearly by the setup, it's the same Chibi Robo from the first game, right? The same telly from the first game. They moved into this house absolutely. That was the one from the first game. So how many other elements from the first game are going to be here? Are the other toys all in the attic as well? Or is Keith bringing over all of his stuff? Like, I'm trying to imagine when this game starts, what position are they all in?
I would love to have like the toys back from the first game, but all forgotten and cracked and broken and messed up. Because the game's been long enough that actually you can experience those characters for the first time now. And for, let's be honest, the majority of people playing, it will be a fresh experience. And then if you want to get to know these characters from the past, you've got the option on NSO, if you want to go back and experience that. So definitely bringing back some of those classic characters. And then when Keith's child moves in, you've got a whole host of new toys. And these toys are, they're not Lego dinosaurs or whatever there was in the first game. They're modern toys that can do really different things. And maybe they're more advanced than Chibi, so they look down on him, but he proves his worth. And, while he's sort of carrying out tasks for them. I like the idea of Citrussoft being like a home appliance company. So Chibi doesn't realise he can fit into all these things, but, you're kind of and maybe you have to do a certain amount of things to fix the washing machine, and then once the washing machine is repaired, it can do washes every day, which adds back things to the grid. So you're like working towards repairing things, and there are some things that are repetitive, like hoovering the floor in a Roomba, but it changes. It gets harder each time until you sort of complete it, and then you can always go back and earn happy points, but it's done, the Roomba's reprogrammed, and it can do the job for you, so you move on to your next task. So yeah, loads of characters back from the old game, and I think encouraging people to experience that, so that then you can sell Chibi Robo All Stars and have all the games in the new style afterwards as well.
Yeah,
but yes, the favourites are coming back 100%. Sam, any questions from yourself?
It sounds like a robust pitch, honestly. Hard to prod much else out of it.
Was that a pun? I think that was a pun. I think we'll count that as a pun. We like a good pun on this show. A robust... No, I made it worse.
Are there any particular abilities that are linked to restoring parts of the house, or is it sort of like the passive energy sort of increases Chibi Robo's general energy power, or... Well,
that's interesting. Yeah, I think I really like the idea of that, because the game... Yeah, there's obviously Chibi Robo would have been mass produced and all that kind of stuff, but I like to imagine Chibi Robo is kind of maybe one Chibi Robo unit. So I like the idea, in the same way that sort of Kirby does as Kirby goes along, of keeping abilities that they learn as they go along. So I like the idea of finding a red power socket, and that generates maybe there's then fire that pops out of your head, which you have to run and use to light the boiler. You find a blue plug socket and you lock into that, and it makes you icy to the touch. You can go restart the cooler under the fridge. I like the idea of definitely like upgrading and unlocking abilities in that classic Metroidvania sense, right? And you can go, okay, well, look, there's 3 different plug socket types. And if I unlock this one first, it opens up all of these areas. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do this really hard one first and I'll unlock the hard stuff because it will give me this cutscene I won't see otherwise. So, yeah, I definitely definitely new abilities. You know, the grappling hook with a plug. I really love the idea of that. And, you know, I think that would be almost a mouse. It could even be a mouse mode thing where you're kind of aiming. Using the Joy-Cons to the best of their ability, but yeah, like different abilities and upgrades and things, absolutely key to the experience, I think.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'd say key to a Metroidvania. Everything's a key, everything's a door.
Chibivania. No, I prefer Chibi Robo 2.0 Bo. I think that's just going to be my name.
I think that's going to be the one.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, there you have it. 3 pitches to bring back Chibi Robo. Do you like Sam's return to the home environment with a focus on vertical exploration, utilising the skills Chibi Robo's learned from Ziplash, set in a block of flats allowing for themes and greater exploration? Chibi now has a USB port to let him possess electronics around him. Episodic in nature, this game is developed by the kings of the open world, Monolith Soft. Or do you like Josh's second stab at an action-focused Chibi Robo, turning the franchise into a third-person shooter called Chibi Robo Wars? Defending the world from resource-stealing aliens, gameplay is contained in objective-driven levels with tower defense elements. This easily overlooked invasion of Earth will be developed by Bandai Namco. Or do you like my Chibi Robo 2.0? NintenDormant developed Pikmin-style Metroidvania, a return to the classic formula with returning characters, villains, power-ups, and filled with set pieces and vehicular sections that lets you unravel the story as you like. Or do you have a better idea yourself? Let us know in the comments below, and if you've enjoyed the podcast, please do like and subscribe. It helps us to grow. You can find us all over on BlueSky. I'll put the links in the description. But for now, Josh, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sam, thank you for joining us for the first time.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for listening, as always. But for now, that's game over. Goodbye.